She missed our exit. Now we're in Seattle downtown traffic.
It's no wonder we couldn't race to Alaska.
No, this is all you.
A friend, Josh Calley, who is about to do the Mini Globe Race on his 19-foot Class Globe 5.80. And yeah, I'm like blown away what he's about to do. He hand-built this boat over the last 4 years and is now about to sail around the world on it. So,
what lane should I be in? Oh shit. Look at the Space Needle over
okay, go in the right lane.
No, the Space Needle's there.
So I've signed up to help Josh with a few things, some PR, social media help, and helping him get some sponsors. He has been self-funding this trip and all of the race costs and building his boat, and he's got over $30,000 into the extra race costs. So I'm trying to get him some help. He's an amazing athlete. He's done a lot of time in the mountains as well, and I think his story deserves to be told and shared. So if you do like this interview with him, then please go check out his GoFundMe or send him an email, and a direct donation would go a huge way to helping Josh with his race costs and help support this crazy journey he's about to go on. We'll be documenting his journey over the next year while he's on board with 4 different legs around the world. So please stay up to date, and I'll do my best.
In a quarter of a mile, use the right lane to turn right on 9th Avenue North.
Well, at least she's paying attention.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get to meeting Josh, and we'll show you his little boat, Skookum. We made it here to see Josh Calley's boat, Skookum. We're at the Shilshol. Okay. We're here at the Shilshol Marina in Seattle, and he's about to embark on circumnavigation on the Mini Globe Race, and want to hear more about his boat here. So let's see what Josh has to say. Introduce us to Skookum and the process of starting, like what made you decide to sign up for this and get the plans to begin with?
So I was riding the bus to work one day, and I was listening to the Sail Magazine podcast back when it was hosted by Adam Court, and he was interviewing an Australian guy named Don McIntyre. And Don McIntyre is the founder of the Retro Golden Globe Race around the world. And he was talking about all his offshore events that he was putting on, the Golden Globe Race, and he had a crewed event called the Ocean Globe Race, and then he went on to talk about the Mini Globe Race, which is this little boat that you build at home by yourself from plans, and if you wanted to sign up to race around the world, then you could. He said he thought that he would build one and want to try to sail it around, and if he did, maybe other people would too. And then now they've sold over 200 sets of plans. I think boat 230 or something like that is already under construction. So yeah, I caught the bug, basically. I was like, I think this is something that I can really do. I've always been into offshore sailing and offshore racing, but it's always been out of reach for me. But I thought, I could build this little boat and I could make it happen. So that was kind of how I got started.
And what is your experience with, I know you've done some sailing and some passages. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I was not a sailor until about 4 years ago. I've been a boater my whole life. I've always, fishing on Lake Erie, and I've always grown up around boats and have a lot of experience like navigating powerboats. I got into mountain climbing and I did that for, a decade or so. And then once that had kind of run its course, I rented a kayak out on Puget Sound, and my girlfriend and I were kayaking, and sailboat went by, and I was just like, this is where I want to be. I want to be on the water. And so I started looking on Craigslist, and I found a little sailboat for $2,500, and I kind of realized that was cheaper than sailing lessons. So I went down to Olympia and I bought it off the guy sight unseen. I had never set foot on a sailboat until I set foot onto the one that I bought. And then I motored it 50 miles home, took it through the locks by myself, all solo, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go sailing. So I went out on a low wind day and I put up the main, and I banged around until I got comfortable with that, and then I put up the jib and I cruised around until I got comfortable with that, and then kind of started working my way up stronger and stronger winds and stuff, and more conditions until I kind of had the hang of it, and that was it. I pretty much taught myself.
So you built this boat. Tell us about the process and what type of boat and a little bit more about Skookum.
Okay, so it's a Class Globe 580, which is the brainchild of Don McIntyre, and he kind of came up with the concept, but he didn't design it. It's designed by a Polish guy named Janusz Madarski, and he designed a boat called the Setka, which is this same boat, but it's only 5 meters. This is 5.8 meters long, so 19 feet, for those of you that don't speak metric. And the Setka is 5 meters, and so they added a frame. They stretched it, and they added one frame to it to give it a little bit more cabin interior volume for longer passages. And so Don asked Janusz if he could extend the plans, and so they did. They came up with the Class Globe 580, and Don had hull number 1 built back in 2021. And yeah, now they're up over 230 something plans built. So it's got pine frames, and then it's got plywood planking, marine grade plywood planking over that, and then epoxy laminate over that. So it's a composite construction. There's boats that they used to build here in the Pacific Northwest called Thunderbirds back in the 70s. It's kind of like a modern Thunderbird. So yeah, I started by building the frames. I built all the frames first. I coated everything. Every piece of wood that went into this boat got coated with epoxy before it got installed. So it's all completely sealed up. There shouldn't be any exposed wood to moisture if I did my job right. So I built the frames first, and I hung them on a jig. It had a strong back jig, and it had 8 frames, and they all hung in line, and you kind of lined everything up, and you got all your measurements right then, and then you stretch the plywood skin over that, and then you fiberglass that, and you flip it over, and you finish the inside, put the deck on, paint it, and everything. So yeah, it took about 3 years. I started building the very first piece in November of 2021. I started construction officially in May of 2022, and I launched it in October of 2024, so about 2.5 years. I kind of built her for strength rather than speed. I figured it's a 400 days around the world. I figured it would be better if it was stronger, kind of a war of attrition sort of thing. So I erred for strength over lightness and speed in most cases. Hopefully that pays off. I don't know. Yeah. It's a bit of a gamble. So
now, tell us a little bit about your kind of history in the marine world, like that you build boats for.
Yeah. So I work as a marine technician on boats 40 to 140 feet. We don't typically do anything smaller than 40 feet. In all power boats, we don't do anything sail. When it comes to working on boats, it's kind of more fun to work on power boats because the power boat people have like lots of money, so it makes it a little easier, less of a headache. But yeah, I do all systems: fiberglass, paint, electrical, mechanical. My specialty is lithium battery installs. So I've done a lot of, there's probably 5 boats in this marina that I've done the lithium batteries on. I had a lot of experience with just what it takes to do marine work reliably. And so that, I think, plays a big part into how reliable the little boat's going to be, as far as like doesn't leak or anything like that.
Speaking of money, yachts with big money, tell us a little bit about the process of, I know you've self-funded this so far. What has that been like?
Stressful. My hero in the Vendée Globe right now is Pip Hare, and she's like because she's kind of self-funded and she does a lot of the work herself, and they put a lot of their own resources into Medallia and into that project. And I kind of felt like if you build it, they will come, like if I show that I am passionate and that I care about it and that I'm willing to give everything, that somebody else would resonate with that passion, and we could work together as far as a shared mission for showing the human spirit and what it's capable of, but up until now I have spent every penny I have getting to this point. So
boats do that. You're now at the race to the race.
Right.
So what's next for Skookum? Like what's left, and when does the race start?
So the race starts February of 2025, so 3 months basically from today. Today's the 25th of November. So the plan is, now that it's in the water, I got the rig up tomorrow, I'm gonna tune the rig and see if I can do some sailing. There's not supposed to be any wind this week, but I'm going to make my way down to Olympia, which is about 50 nautical miles south of here. I'm gonna just do some basic cruising. I'm gonna go over to Port Madison on the other side of the sound. I'm maybe gonna spend a night at Bell Harbor in Seattle because I got some packages to pick up downtown. Then I'm going down to Quartermaster Harbor, which is like a little bay on the south side of Vashon Island, which is just the coolest little anchorage. And it's a good spot to kind of queue up and get ready to go through the Narrows, because to take the little boat through the Narrows, you have to time the tide because you get a 6-knot current through there. So it's pretty wild. So once I get the boat down to Olympia, I'm going to have it hauled out in the first week of December. I'm going to put it on a trailer, and I'm going to tow it 3,800 miles to the East Coast. I'm going to go south to LA and hang a left so I can avoid going across the Rockies in December. I'm going to go across Arizona and New Mexico. And then when I get to the East Coast, I have some family that lives about 15 miles from the ocean in North Carolina. I'm going to launch the boat there and sea trial off the coast of Beaufort for a week or two. This is in the first 2 weeks of January. And then I'm going to sail the boat from Beaufort to Antigua, 1,600 miles, in the end of January, first 2 weeks of February, and try to arrive in time for the start on the 25th. I want to get to Antigua second week of February to give myself 10 days or so to turn around and get ready to leave. But it's tight. No. But it should be quite the adventure. Just getting there is going to be an epic adventure. So I'm nervous and excited at the same time.
Amazing. And I think you said this already, but race starts February, and then it should be about a year, at just over a year, or a year?
That's right. So yeah, it starts in February, and we go from Antigua to Panama, and we'll truck the boats across Panama. So they have infrastructure. They have a company set up that's going to help us truck 2 boats a day, and you have about a week to get everybody across. And then we'll restart on the Pacific side of Panama. And then we'll sail. The next stop, official stop, is Fiji, but you can stop anywhere. The rules say you can stop anywhere. So you're required to take 1 7-day pit stop in between Panama and Fiji, but you can choose where. So you can go to the Galapagos, you can go to the Marquesas, whatever ends up being easier. I think kind of getting up to the Galapagos would be kind of difficult. It's my plan to kind of skip it. I think most of the people are planning to go to Galapagos, but I think I want to try to skip it and make it straight to the Marquesas. And then from there we go to Tonga, Fiji to Tonga, and then a super long leg, Tonga to Darwin, Australia. It's like 4,000 miles or something like that, 40 days. And then Darwin, Australia to Cocos Keeling in the Indian Ocean, Cocos Keeling to Mauritius, Mauritius to Cape Town to St. Helena to Recife in Brazil, and then from Recife back to Antigua, hopefully 14 months, April or so of 2026. So that's the itinerary.
That's an epic.
Yeah.
That's longer than I realized, actually. Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good... Oh, one last question about the race kind of thing. How many other people are in the race, and kind of what's the process? Because you kind of have to do a bit of a proving grounds, don't you, to Antigua?
Yeah, so there's 18 entrants. I think something like 10 of them are from Australia. For some reason, the Australians are really into crazy sailing, small boat sailing adventures. There's a British gal and a British guy. There's a couple Germans. There's a guy that sails under the Irish flag. There's one guy from Spain. I'm the only United States entrant. I'm the only one that seems crazy enough from the U.S. to be willing to attempt it. Everybody has to complete at least 750 nautical miles in your 580 before you can qualify for the start. So it can be anywhere, anytime. They kind of advertise the Transat as being the qualifier, and it is. If you do the mini Transat from Portugal to Antigua, you're automatically qualified, but it's not required. As long as you make 750 miles in your boat and you can prove that you can do it with celestial navigation. So you have to show your CellNav logs to prove that it's possible, or that you're capable of it. And that's it. That's all it takes. You just build the boat, sail 750 miles, and you're in.
That's it. That's all. No problems.
Right. You have to have an offshore safety at sea course. You have to have STCW, advanced proficiency in medical care course. So there's a number of safety certificates and stuff that you have to have to qualify.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're not a stranger to a big adventure. Tell us like how you see this big adventure being different from your other mountain adventures. And
so I think for me, it's more about the similarities than the differences. You know, like ocean sailing and big mountain expeditions are so similar. The Venn diagram is so overlapped that you just have a little, like, you know, margin on the edges there of things that are actually different. But as far as having to endure suffering and relying on and having mastery over your equipment, I think is really important. You know, ropes, how much ropes play into it. And the weather and the meal planning, the preparation. You know, one time we went to go climb Mount Huntington, which is a sub-peak of Denali up in the Alaska Range. And we were on the glacier for 3 weeks. And it was just horrible weather. And it's a glacier you can only get to by ski plane. So they come and they land you on the glacier with a big plane with skis on it, and they throw all your stuff out, and then they take off. And the only way to get out of there is for them to come and pick you up, and it has to be perfect weather so you can get stuck there. And so, yeah, we were on the glacier for 3 weeks, just like living in a little snow hole and eating what we had brought with us. So it's, as far as like a passage goes, it's pretty much the same. You know, you're kind of all on your own. You're in your own little island. You have what you have with you, and that's it. You know, and completely self-reliant. So in that way, it's very similar.
how do you feel about doing this solo? What's the difference there for you?
I think when you're climbing big mountains like that, you always have this part of your mind, the back of your mind, of what would I be doing if I was alone, or like what would happen if I lost my partner, or something like that. So you always have to have a compartment in your mind that is considering what you would be doing if you were alone, or how you would handle it if you were alone. And so a lot of that is the same. Basically, it's just as far as it has to do with your planning and your preparation. You know, as long as you are confident in your systems and you have everything figured out, then being alone I find is actually a little easier, because you don't have to worry about keeping everybody else happy.
So took you a while to get down here?
We left our houses at 2:45 a.m.
No, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Guys. I feel bad.
No.
Yeah, no, it's a journey for sure, but
The first ferry, like the earliest ferry is 5:15 a.m. and we wanted to catch that one.
Every other day we have to do a SoundCloud, a sat phone,
okay.
where they record it and then they put it up on SoundCloud, so you can like hear like, oh, I got hammered in the night last night, or whatever. I'm happy, I'm sad.
it'd be cool to get some video and stuff, and I don't know, we'll see what's possible, but it's not like there's Starlink on board or anything.
I can't, it's allowed, I just can't afford it.
Yeah.
And besides, it takes so much power. I only have 200 amp hours of battery.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of nice to stay focused on the race too, hey?
Yeah, and the whole thing is like, if I'm solo, if I have all that stuff, do I really feel solo?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if I'm constantly in contact, are you really alone out there? So expedition mountaineering and spending weeks in a tent has taught me a lot about what I need to survive and be comfortable. And first, I'm not going to be relying exclusively on freeze-dried meals. You know, everybody goes freeze-dried, 400 freeze-dried meals, and away you go, right? But I found in the mountains, at least, and in situations when you are stressed out, the most important thing is to bring food that you will eat. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be Twix bars. It can be whatever, a jar of marshmallow fluff. It doesn't matter. As long as you're willing to eat it or want to eat it, that's the most important thing. You bring these things that you think, this is really nutritious, this is really healthy, it's marketed as being really good mountain food, and you get up there and you don't want it because it tastes like cardboard. And then all of a sudden you're weak and you're hungry, and it's a snowball. So I'm going to be bringing real food. Rice, beans, pasta, oatmeal. I really like granola with dehydrated milk for breakfast and stuff like that. I'm probably going to bring about 100 dehydrated meals, just because, you know, the convenience of being able to heat it up and eat it is is invaluable, you know, especially in bad weather and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm gonna bring a bunch of these pre-made white rice packets, and they're fully cooked. So all you do is just heat it up, 2 tablespoons of water, and you heat it up. And then all you need is a couple of cans of chicken breast and some tortillas or a little bit of the hot sauce there, and you're good to go. So stuff like that, stuff that's still convenience, but is actual food and not dehydrated, you know. And then try to manage the waste and everything like that. You don't obviously want to have a huge locker of empty cans. So you're required to have 100 liters of water, and so I have 4 big gray jugs that will go here. So I have 4 gray jugs like that will sit there, and they'll get strapped in. And I'll bring 100, so that'll be 95 liters of water, and then I'm going to bring 30 liters of other fluids, fruit juice, Capri Sun, you know, the fruity, tasty beverages, stuff like that. Yeah, I got an alcohol stove. I got the Jetboil gimbal hangs on here. It can go on here like this. And then the steam can go right out the window. And I've got the alcohol gimbal here. This is, I don't know how much, you know, cooking on this you really do at sea. It's probably more of like a calm weather import kind of thing. And just using the Jetboil to heat stuff up. I've got 2 taps. I have one is a saltwater pickup for washing dishes and stuff like that, you know, or cooking pasta or whatever. You can use seawater. And then this one, there's a hose that comes out here and goes into the water tank. And so then you can just pump your fresh water right into your whatever, cups, bowls, plates.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Simple, effective, not too many systems. I love it.
Right. Yeah, the only 2 below the water line through holes are those 2, the sink drain and the saltwater pickup, and then for the transducer up forward. Other than that, all the through holes are above the water line.
Is that what the U-vent's for? Is the same?
Yeah, this is this is for the bilge pump. There's a manual bilge pump here. And it's got the pickup here. And it goes through the vented loop, and then there's I used all Marilon, the Pro valves, so that there didn't need to be any bonding. So there's the only below the waterline metal is the keel. So I didn't have to bond any of that stuff together. So it's got all Marilon through holes. And so there's another one under the sink back here that this goes to, and it ejects that bilge water overboard above the waterline though. So it's got 3 bilge pumps. It's got this mechanical one here, manual. It's got an electric 2,000 gallon there, and it's got another manual one that's accessible from the cockpit. The pickup is there.
Okay, toilet. What's the toilet situation?
It's a bucket. Yeah, my intention is to make a little like ring that goes on the side here. The ring folds up and the bucket slides into the ring, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Yeah.
That's what we needed.
Yeah, ours was always, we were always moving ours away, and it was just like
the human element. That's always everybody asks: what are you going to eat? How are you going to go to the bathroom? How are you going to sleep when you're by yourself? That's the top three questions that I get. No, this brand is the one that partnered with the class association. This is the South Atlantic Wind Vane, which is kind of a smaller company out of Argentina. And so they designed and built this for this boat. They make this wind vane for other boats, but this system is specifically for the 580, so you can order it as a kit, and they'll send it to you all as one piece. And it's a servo pendulum wind vane. So basically you have the wind vane goes on here, and that causes when the wind blows it, it flops over to one side. That causes that to go that way, which would drive it through the water this way, which causes, and then you have the lines that go from here to 2 blocks to the tiller. And so basically this turns that turns that, this turns this, and then that makes your tiller go back and forth. And that's basically how it works.
Yeah. So is there a gear system in it, or is it?
It's just got this push rod. Okay. The push rod goes up and down, and it attaches down here. There's like the place where it connects. And that basically it's very simple, but it has a lot of moving parts. And so it requires daily maintenance. Right. So like the discipline is that you have to have a routine. You come out and you check every moving part, every nut, every bolt, everything every day, regardless of the weather or the conditions or whatever. You come out and you check it every single day. This thing in particular, people have had some issues coming across the Atlantic with things loosening up and stuff, so it's just important to stay on top of it. It maybe not be as robust of a system, but it's lightweight, and I'm, I think, mechanically minded enough to keep it going. So,
speaking of things breaking and everything, what like, do you have quite an extensive spare part system like on board?
I mean, that's the challenge, right? Is to know what to bring and what not to bring. Because you want to bring one of everything, right? Or two of everything.
Just tow a whole second boat behind.
Totally, exactly. So I'm just, relying a lot on my mechanical aptitude. I'm going to bring a selection of long bolts that can be cut down shorter if they have to be. I'm going to bring stainless steel strapping and basically anything that can be used to jerry rig something up real quick. I'm going to get a really cheap Amazon rechargeable drill, some small handheld palm-sized thing so you can drill holes if you have to. And baling wire. And believe it or not, dental floss actually really works. You can really hold stuff together with several wraps of dental floss. You'd be surprised.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
We're just heading back. We're close to the border now, heading back to Canada. I'm just reflecting on the few hours that we had with Josh and interviewing him and seeing his boat, Skookum. It's just amazing what he's about to do, and I really admire his bravery and courage to be able not only build his boat but follow his dream and push past the fact that he is, in debt for this and just making it work and doing it. So I really, really hope that if you feel able to help and either just want to follow his story or can provide a little bit of support to help his journey. I just want to see him achieve this, and he still needs some gear before his race, so anything helps. I've linked his GoFundMe below, and also his website and all his social medias that I'll be helping manage over the next year. So yeah, I really appreciate you checking him out, and thanks for watching. I better stop in front of me. We'll see you next time, and I hope to have another update on Josh pretty soon.